last video was a bigger AI agent system, my freelance platform workflow. This one is shorter because I wanted to show two agents that I actually use, and you don't have to use these exactly, but you can use this idea to actually make agents that would work for you. So the first one is a startup radar, and I originally got this from the All-in-One podcast, which basically has some entrepreneurs, and one talked about they had something set up for this that would actually find ideas and then use an agent to create an MVP, which is a minimum viable product. So taking from that idea, I decided to actually create the same and basically just have it search Reddit and other forums to find some pain points and possible startups from that. And then the other one was just a weekly job search tracker. And from this, I just use it to pretty much just scan LinkedIn, Indeed, and other job websites for potential jobs that fit my exact experience and positioning. And the nice thing about this agent setup, it's no longer just searching for ideas off of Reddit. It's actually taking in your experience, your context that you give it. So the jobs it's looking for, it's actually jobs that would fit me based on my experience, based on my schooling, based on what I'm looking for. So that is a nice thing about these smaller agents. They're super easy to set up and they can give you a lot on your return. They're not the most flashy agents, that's for sure. They are just review systems, something that will help you stay up to date, help you research. There's so many ideas you can do with these agents, whether it's looking at your competitors every week or looking at their pricing, looking at where the job market is going, looking at where oil prices or your suppliers' prices are going. Just so many different ideas. That is exactly why I like them. And so the useful question is not always can AI do the whole task, but sometimes the better question is can AI create a weekly artifact that helps me decide on what deserves attention? And these two automations do that for me. The startup radar gives me a business idea artifact. The job tracker gives me a career opportunity artifact. Both are examples of an AI as a recurring research assistant, not an autopilot. In this video, I will show you the startup finder project folder, the startup radar report, the trend summary workflow, the latest trend summary, the job searcher workbook, and then I will show you how this is all done in Claude Cowork. So first we'll go ahead and look at the backend. Looking at the backend, we have our startup radar, which is in here. We have the actual MD files that the automation in Claude Cowork creates. We have our README MD file and then our trend summary latest, which I'll talk more about in a second. And then if we go back over, we have a Claude MD file and then a couple of Python scripts and then another MD file. So this project scans communities like Reddit, Hacker News, and indie hackers to find repeated pain points. We'll go ahead and look at the Claude MD file. So this gives us this, who it is for. We have our report format and then also where to research. So currently I have it researching Reddit, Hacker News, Product Hunt, Indie Hackers, and then the schedule of Renee's Rand, and then also the niche focus. So the context is important here because the ideas that it finds should fit a solo founder or a small team, and it should also align with my skills and be practical enough to test without raising money. This is not supposed to be AI gives me a business idea and I believe it. This is AI helps me collect complaints so I can then decide which one I should then validate. So going back to our folder, if we actually look at the reports, so each one of these will give me 10 ideas. That gives me a pain point summary with each one. It gives me an example of community evidence, so any tweets or any post or community threads. It gives me the rough marketing size, proposed solution for that specific pain point, the monetization angle, the difficulty of actually applying this, and then the opportunity score. And then based on all of those, it gives me a complete score. So the real value is not the score itself. The real value is actually being able to compare the reports over time. So currently I have about 10 of these, and I have a trend summary that will actually look at all of these and tell me which ones are actually being repeated. So going back to this, I'll show you more about the trend summary. And this script copies the most recent reports into a local agent workspace, gives the agent comparison prompt, and then asks it to write a catch-up memo. So what is this workflow summary meant to do? It is supposed to answer the questions of what keeps on showing up, what is new in this round, which opportunities still look strong after comparing reports, and then what should I revisit first. We'll look at the MD file. And the biggest thing about this prompt is a governance layer. It tells the agent not to crown one random favorite idea, not to invent evidence, and not to ignore older reports just because the newest one is more exciting. So we'll go ahead and look at an actual trend summary of the latest. So it tells us what keeps showing up new this round, and then highest conviction opportunities, and then also ideas to revisit first. And the biggest thing about these agents is notice how it actually connects back to my actual work, specifically the YouTube channel. For example, a lot of the startup ideas it gives me actually connects to my YouTube channel work and saying how this could be useful for me. So for example, the AI content brief generator actually connects to my YouTube workflow agent system that I have. The SMB automation for SMB small businesses actually work or links back to my data analyst background. And then the AI agent observability actually connects to this whole YouTube AI agent series. So that is what is probably the key thing about agents is you have to have all the context so it can view those and it could give you the best informed information. And that is the point of this system is it's not what is trending, but what is trending that I could realistically test. So next, I'll go ahead and show you this actually in Claude Cowork. So if we go to our scheduled task, we have our startup radar Wednesday and then also our startup radar Sunday. So both of these launches on either Wednesday or Sunday at a specific time. It gives our instructions, your objective, output location, which you just saw that folder, the naming convention, specific sources to actually look for, and then the search strategy along with the idea filtering criteria, report format, and all of these can be changed and updated. With Claude Cowork, it's super easy to schedule out these tasks and schedule out these agents. It's just the most important part is adding that context so it's giving you the best information. Next, we'll go to our job tracker. So I just clicked in, and this folder is much more smaller. And we'll go ahead and open that so you can view that. This is actually the tracker. And one thing to know about these two different projects is one has an actual backend with some context folders and a Claude MD folder. This one has none, and it's just directly taken from what Claude knows about me already, whether it's through its own memory on my computer, and it's basing it off of that. So we have our jobs, the business name, short description, source, job URL, and I pretty much asked for these columns specifically when I was creating this. And we'll go ahead and actually look at the scheduled task. We have our weekly job search. We have our history of when it was ran. And then we have our context or our background information. So it knows what's actually looking for. It gives us the task of pretty much in steps of what it's going to do. So add 10 new jobs to the tracker. Update the subtitle row with today's date. It actually gives a folder of where it is placed, and it pretty much populates that tracker every Monday at 7 p.m. So the biggest thing about this is, again, I'm not looking for jobs. It's just something to help me keep up to date with information. And you can do this if you're a small business. There's so many different ways you can do this. You could do it with your emails, having it look through it every day, and then you could add the context of what you're looking for exactly. Say if you get clients reaching out to you in the emails, you can have it scan your emails and then take that and put it into a new folder or some kind of tracker. And then you can have it draft responses to that as well based on your context. That's the biggest thing, is using agents this way. You give it the context and information it needs to make decisions. And as I look at these two projects, of course, it's always going to be ongoing. There's ways you can make them better. So for example, with my startup radar, I would definitely add stronger validation for it. And I would also add this being which ideas are repeated across multiple weeks, and then add a manual validation status, and then connect a YouTube test or landing page to test the best ideas. And then for the job tracker, I could add on more information to it to see which roles are the newest, which ones match my AI or data skills the best, which ones need tailored resumes, and then also which ones that are not worth applying to. And that would turn my tracker from a list to an actual decision assistant. And with all these AI agents, the biggest thing to keep in mind is they have to be personalized to you and your actual workflows. So you have to consider your thoughts or how you do certain things, and then see if AI can actually replace that task or make it easier for you to do it. So some common mistakes is treating content that you get from AI as proof. You need to actually validate any of these results. For example, with my startup radar, I don't see something come through and I don't say, oh, this is the next $1 million idea. I actually take steps to validate it. And I also consider, is it worth pursuing? So if it's something that would also help my current side projects, I would actually pursue it. But if it takes time out of my current projects and I have to dedicate other time for that, then maybe I might not consider it. Another big thing is, if you are looking to make a job tracker or do something with AI, especially the automations, is do not let it do it for you blindly. First of all, if you do it on job boards or job websites, it will actually flag your account and you can actually be banned, especially if you're having it apply to 100 jobs a day. So just keep that in mind. The best thing is just to use it for small decision making and keeping yourself in the loop. Another thing that I would recommend is don't keep the agent or automation just in your files like I have with the weekly job search. I would actually build a folder around it and a structure to have that context so you can actually review later and make updates in there, and then just have your Claude Cowork read those files before actually doing something. So if you guys see my last video, the freelance agent system has monitoring, offers public profiles, and buyer facing decisions. These are smaller but simpler. The startup radar actually creates a business review memo, and then the job tracker creates a career opportunity review table. And both of these are helpful because it helps me make better decisions without pretending that AI should make those decisions for me. So if you are building your own agent workflow, I would highly recommend starting with just a boring artifact, a weekly memo, a tracker, a short list, or a review queue, and then take it from there. That is usually where AI becomes useful before it becomes risky. If you guys like this content, please like and then also subscribe.